He is Dr. Dev Chaurasia. He is doing his first MBBS from Gandhi Medical College in Bhopal. He got 95% in his 12th CBSE examination. He cracked NEET in his first attempt by securing 627 marks. So we are really happy to have him with us today. So really thank you, bro, for joining with us.
Thank you.
So even his tight schedule, he has allotted some time for us. So I hope it will be very helpful for us all, and we'll be making use of it in a proper way. So let us have Dev Chaurasia, and he will be sharing his experience as well as some of the strategy that he followed during his examination.
Hello, guys. I'm Gandhi Medical College right now, and I'm doing my first year MBBS from PMC. So, how are you guys? Okay, I guess your mic is off. So, like, in my case, I was never a hardworking kind of guy. I was very I used to catch things a little early than the others, but I was never a hardworking one. So I used to regret this. Always my case, I did not study in 7th at all. I had my physics strong, so I used to do physics only in 7th, and I did not focus on chemistry and bio. So my score was to last between 400, 500, and even at times below 400. I was at that time I was even not concerned about that. So uh, my physics was strong, so I used to do only physics in 7th. So because of that, I got time in in 12th. I my teachers always that you on your other subjects, but you won't good or decent rank in competitive exam. So then in 12th, I focused a lot on my chemistry and biology. So for bio, I did my notes earlier in 11th, but I think they were not that useful as for NEET paper, because the coaching notes are always beyond the level of. So I focused on NCRT a lot, biology and chemistry. I used to practice more questions. I used to focus on questions more than the matter. Yeah, so I did like this. So basically, I invested my whole time for the 12th most of the time. 11th, I used to just. So this was my case, but I think you all should be the other kind of guys, hardworking guys, would be really helpful. Like in 11th, you should focus more on your accuracy and your time. When you start attempting a paper, you should focus on your accuracy. Like time management would be a end task. After after mid 12th, you would be able to manage your time easily. Like you will make your schedule and you will completely follow it. So this was my case. Like so I had my physics strong. Abhi Angel, anything particular in particular, I need to guide them. As in, actually, I'm very nervous. So
No, that's okay, bro. So actually the main problem here is they are vice versa of your case. They have interest in biology and chemistry, but they feel physics is very difficult.
it's very common.
So can you give some tips? What make you very strong in physics? How you got some interest in physics?
I had my interest in math a lot. Like I decided to pick up bio because my math was very strong in 9th, and I had a lot of interest in bio. So I thought that taking me would be beneficial for me, as math would be a lot helpful in. So this was my case. But like for any other student, like whoever so have your okay kind of. So in that case, like yeah, there are two kind of preparation. Like for JEE, JEE is a different examination and NEET is a different examination. For JEE is for the conceptual kind of question where you need to go after the concept, and then you like the derivation of many formulas are very important in JEE because you need to solve the question derivation process, full process. But the case of NEET is very different. Here you just need to focus on the formulas and basically the application of the formula. Like many a times we do things like we learn the formula and uh, and we learn the formula, we know the formula, but when the question comes there, we know how to apply it, like where to apply, what are the values where we need to put it. So the application of the formula is more important than learning the formula. So first you need to learn the formula and then focus on how to apply it. Like what are the kind of questions, what are the variety of questions you can apply it. So this is how physics for NEET goes. Like I cleared my JEE also. I got 99.1% there just because of physics and chemistry. I did not attempt in maths. Got -5 in maths because of my negative marking. But yeah, I cleared it because of physics. That's all because I invested more time in physics. So for an average student, it's a very simple thing. You just need to go after the formulas. You need to look where it should be applied properly. Like Abhi Angel must be very well teacher. I know that. I've seen some of his, like when he told me that you guys needed some guidance. So I asked him what's your channel, and I went on YouTube and served it. Right. So okay, there are some comments, I guess. Abhi Angel, shall I start with the comments?
No, before that, can you please tell, is coaching really necessary? Will self-study alone help them? What is the beneficial of going into a coaching center rather than
Yeah,
self-study?
like the preparation can be done at home very easy. But if you are a very devoted, and which is very rare in our case, like in our age, we get distracted very easily. Like things like social media and all, these things are very distracting for us. Like going into coaching centers are like, these are two different scenarios. Like if you study at home, you just focus on your preparation, you know about the competitive atmosphere outside the city, outside your home, where the students are struggling so hard, they are studying 10 hours, 12 hours a day. In the beginning, I'm talking about the beginning, like before 11. They start their preparation before 11, and they start preparing very hard for their preparation. But to get ahead of them, just need to focus on just need to strategize our performance. Like how do we strategize it? So focus on the strategy. Like I there are many topics where weightage is very less. So there are 45 questions in it. Like up to pattern is a bit changed now, but there were 45 questions like in my time. So there are I guess 2 to 3 questions in every paper each year that they are beyond an average level, and investing time in those questions is very risky because they may be harmful for your other 10 questions which are easy ones, and which may be hampered because of them. So like the questions are being made for them, like to invest a lot of time in those questions, and your time is compromised there. So this is the mistake which I even do in 11th. Yeah, I used to do a lot of papers. I went to a coaching center. So basically, coaching was like it helped me look at the competitive atmosphere there. Like I used to see my friends, I used to the toppers, and I used to be like, how do they score this much? Like they used to score 160, 170 in physics out of 180. And at that time in 11th, I was average about 10, 10. So I used to like how do they score? Like I tend to forget the formula very easy. I don't know where to apply the formula. Sometimes even it used to happen with me. I used to look at the question and I used to just think, yeah, what kind of formula is going to be applied here? If I apply this formula, then maybe I'm going to stuck at this point. So I made a group in my coaching classes. My group was very good. All of them were the serious kind of students. I used to learn a lot of things from them, like from my friends. Like they used to tell me new techniques, they used to tell me new strategies how to solve the questions and all. So we used to share a lot, and I used to see their मतलब, how devoted the students are there to get into the medical colleges or to get in aims. Like I had a coaching, my coaching was a local coaching in Bhopal. I am from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. So I had a local coaching here. Uh, so it's not a national level coaching like Akash or like Physics or JEE and all. It's not a national level coaching. This coaching, this was a, do we say, it was a in-city coaching. So there wasn't a lot of competition there, but in that only in just a single coaching with 250 students in my batch, I used to see that around 20 or 30 students are above me. So that kind of gave me a motivation that I need to, if I need to compete at the national level, I at least need to beat these 20 so that I can get into a decent rank, which I could manage because there are some students which are in better colleges than me from my coaching only. That's me. Then, but like you can only do it in one way, that you are self motivated, you are determined that you need to get into, and yeah, again the strategy thing. So you need to strategize it very carefully. Like I said, I was not a hardworking kind of guy. So I used to study, like even if I used to study for 1 hour and take a half an hour break after that, I used to study with 100% efficiency in that 1 hour. Like I didn't used to do time pass. Like I'm just holding the book and get okay, and I'm reading those pages once again, twice, thrice, 100 times, but nothing is getting into my. So I used to focus on them a lot. Like even if I study for an hour, I'll study with 100% efficiency, and then once the results are there, like I used to get saturated very easily. Like yes, behavior.
So, can you tell for different subjects like physics, chemistry, and maths? I mean, physics, chemistry, and biology. What are the books you will prefer for NEET level?
Okay, so books, I touch a lot on my coaching, but apart from that, the books which I did, like I never used to in like in my early times, like in 11th and early 12th, I used to focus on a lot of books. I used to go here and there. I used to go after lot many books. Like I brought three new physics books for me in 11th. Like I'm going to solve all of them, and I bought Allen package also, the package, but I never managed to do them, and I left it at the right time. I am saying this because I got to know this in the mid 12th that like I had my NEET in September. I got to know this after my board, like in February, that I cannot do like this. Like if I go on here and there, I'm just going to confuse my brain, and nothing is going to get into my brain properly. So I focused on some just little number of books. Like for biology, I focused on NCERT at a fingertips. It was a very good book for me. Like they also claim that 70% of your preparation paper, NEET paper, is from that book. Like the questions are repeated and same kind of questions are there. So I focused on that. There is another book, a new book, Dr. Ali, which my coaching recommended me for biology. These are both the objective questions for biology. And another book is Dinesh, but I don't think so. Dinesh is appropriate right now because as far as the pattern is going, they are making the paper easier and easier year by year. Dinesh is a kind of book which was 5 years back, had a lot of difficult questions and out of syllabus questions. So these are for bio, and for chemistry, I used to do GRV for organic, in organic and inorganic both. Physical, I used to do from my coaching notes, like whichever previous year questions are like for all the three subjects. Previous year questions are very useful, like for physics, chemistry, and bio. If you practice the previous year questions, if you practice last 10 years previous questions, and maximum 80% of your NEET paper is done from them only. How come? Because maybe the values change, maybe little there is a little twist in the question, but the questions are of same pattern. So the pattern never changes for the question. Yeah, and for physics, I did USS for some time. USS Universal Self Explorer, I guess. It was a very easy book. It was a basic book which used to cover the questions from the formulas. Like directly, you have to apply the formula and do the questions, which are basically for the NEET level, which is good. Which is a good book. And apart from it, I used to do my coaching notes. Yeah, the coaching people used to give us some coaching modules, so I used to practice them.
So now we are following modules of two institutions, namely Align and Physics Wala. So hope you know Physics.
Okay. Yeah.
So for now we are following their module only. So many of the students are asking, on an average, how many questions should we solve from each lesson on an average? Because it can go beyond for some lesson, it will be little for some lessons. It depends upon.
Yeah. Yeah. It does depend on the chapter. Like, some big topics like early optics. It is such a vast chapter that you need to practice at least 100 questions. Like, that question practice will, like, as much as you can do is beneficial. There won't be any loss if you do 1,000 questions of a single chapter. But yeah, obviously time does not permit that. So you should more focus on the previous year questions and the important ones. Like if you have done a question of the same variety, you don't need to do it again. You should go on the next variety, next kind of pattern of the question in the same chapter only. Like for ray optics, if some questions are from the lens, some questions are from the mirror, and then moving mirrors, moving lens, then some medium questions, and
Yeah. Okay. So on an average, how many mock tests do you give before NEET examination? Maybe let me talk about last 2 months preparation.
okay, so in the last, I actually focus on what lot of paper. I used to do a new paper, like a 3 hours paper every day, and maybe twice some days, because, but yeah, they were rare. Like in a month, I used to when I was determined that yeah, I can do today that I'm not be I'm not going to be drowsy or anything. I don't need a break, so I used to do papers in a day. And apart from them, I used to solve the previous. Sorry, just a second. Yeah. Apart from it, I used to solve previous year question and my previous mock test, all the tests.
Yeah.
Like I used to bring out all the wrong questions which I did last time. Like I did those papers in 11th and whole of 12th. Like
So
apart from those 2 months, and I
basically like
used to bring
analyzing
the
of your previous paper. You should
yeah,
analyze.
basically the analysis of my previous paper, but in a different kind of way. Like I used to bring out those wrong questions. I used to ask my mother to mark them in those papers, and I used to solve them. Like I used to even tell her to tick mark on all the options. Like I had already attempted that question. Like if the option is A, so I had already marked it. So I used to ask her to mark all the questions, all the options A, B, C, D, and so that I could now differentiate which is the correct answer, and then I used to solve it again. All the wrong questions which I attempted. Like at that time, my frequency for the wrong questions was very high. Like I used to score 400, 400, 450. So there was a lot many wrong questions. So yeah, I used to do at least 4 to 5 papers like this. All my wrong questions. They ma- they around taught me something to 300 questions a day in the last 2 months.
Okay. So let me take some doubts from the student.
Okay.
Bro, physics easy. How to study chemistry? It is difficult.
Okay. So chemistry are like physical chemistry, just similar to physics. You just for NEET level, you just need to focus on the formula and how does that formula apply. Like of course, Abhijit tells you he has a good way to teach you that, like how to apply the formula when you see the question. Okay, even as soon as you read the first line of the question, you get to know that okay, this formula is going to be applied here. So that kind of strategy you need to apply for both physical chemistry and physics, and for organic chemistry. Organic chemistry is like more of practice. You just need to revise the reactions again and again. And the revision is basically through the questions only. I used to do a lot many questions, and through that I used to manage my revision. Because revising the whole NCRT, yeah, NCRT is very beneficial for organic chemistry. Like you can read it, but the last 2 months I did not focus on them. I used to focus on the questions more, and through that I used to manage my revision. I used to, like, if I got a question wrong here, so I used to read that entire topic. Like how did I manage to get this wrong? It shouldn't be wrong. So I used to do it like this. And for like inorganic, it's basically a learning part. You just need to mug up those things, like same as bio.
Is it necessary to read NCRT line by line for physics? For physics.
For physics, I did not see it at all. Like only for some content, some rare content. But I don't think they would be needed right now after a year, because the physical pattern is again going to be. So reading NCRT was not my cup of tea. Like my friends did it, and it kind of uh, managed to be helpful for them. But I don't think, like, even I scored 150 in physics. I need. Like I did all the silly mistakes. Like the 6 questions which I got wrong were all silly mistakes. There was none of the conceptual questions which I missed without reading NCRT. So, like, even the conceptual points which are given in line by line, which Abhi missed out, so they are covered in the question. Like, if you attempt 1,000 questions of that topic, so at least you are going to cover 95 to 98% of all the questions, like even the theory ones which are in the line of the NCERT, they're also going to be covered in them. Yeah, like
Me,
for
how important is note making when it is used for exam? I mean, before 1 month of examination, how useful are your own made notes?
like that, I was a very lazy one, so I did of any subject, not even for bio, not even. So yeah, I used to compensate for this by doing the previous year questions, previous papers questions, which I attempted last time, which I got wrong. I used to do it from there. Like my notes were never beneficial for me, because even if I read the notes at the last moment, I'm like, I'm going to forget them, and I know ki I'm going to forget them in a day or two. So yeah, but yeah, a kind of thing which really kind of was helpful for me was that I jot down all the topics which which I told, which were in my tendency to forget. Like if it was this formula, so I used to write down, or I made a group on my WhatsApp, and I used to post everything on them, like whichever things I need to revise it at the end moment. So before NEET, even in the last 3 days, I went through all those topics, all those formulas. They may be topics, they may be a chapter also, like even from there's some chapter from biochemistry. Yeah, I did like this, and it kind of really was helpful for me, because I did not used to invest my time learning those again and again. I did them at least 100 times, but again, yeah, it went out of my mind in a day or so. So I did it at the last time, and I mugged up, and then attempted it in need.
Okay, so how was your mindset when you entered 11th standard? I mean, like looking into physics books, such a giant book, and the concepts are like vectors are going somewhere, Newton's law of motion. So did it demotivated you? And what did you do?
Like, topics they never demotivate. Right? And they used to say that there are many topics that you will think they are very difficult, and you are not holding them and everything. But as the time passes, you get to know those topics. Right? The people who have made the NEET pattern, who have made the NCRT, they also know that they also see it from the student point of view. That there is none of the chapter that is so difficult for the student that they won't be able to they won't be able to attempt the questions of that chapter. They make it like that. As you give that chapter some time, as you practice more of their questions as you read it. Like for physics, so like question practice is more important. So as you practice the questions, as you know the chapter once, there won't be any other motivating chapters for you. Like vectors and all are basics for maths also. Like PCM students also learn them. So it is a little tricky, but once you get to know the technique, once you know the formula, once you know the formula very well, like you have, it's in your mind. Like theory, it's in your mind. It's at your fingertips. So just see the question. You just see, okay, the vector is to be applied. Just apply the formula. You just solve the question.
So we have a doubt in Hindi. आप रोज कितने घंटे पढ़ते हैं?
Okay, so I'll answer. Okay, so he's asking how many hours do you study at that time. So in 11th and 12th, I was like I told you, I was never hardworking kind of guy. So I did not study much. I used to study for 2 hours, I guess. Apart from my coaching was my coaching timings were like 4 to 9, I guess. Yeah, 5 hours, 5 hours at my coaching, and then 2 to 3 hours at my home. Yeah, that was for me. That was enough for me in 11th and 12th. Like enough for me. Actually, I had to uh, spend a lot of time in 12th to cover up those things. Like in my opinion, if you are doing the self study, should you should study about 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours at least in 11th and 12th. In 11th and 12th, like before 3 months of the examination, and in the last 3 months, you should of course put in all your efforts. Yeah, the timing should increase 8 to 10 hours as much as you can. But yeah, taking break is also important. So go on frequent breaks between them.
So many students face this problem. They
Yeah.
usually forget the formulas in physics. So what would you like to advise them?
Like here, formulas are also the same kind of thing is there. Like there are some important formulas which are very very important. Like one question is guaranteed and need from them. So those kind of formula you have to learn them. You have to learn them. So you need to write them in a paper, in a copy, or in a letter, and then you need to revise it all the time, like in twice or thrice in a week, 2 times a day, maybe so. You just need to jot them down and learn them again and again. There's no other option. And those formulas which are not very important, you can leave them for the time being, but they would also be covered by the questions. Like questions are the best judge for you as like which formula is important, which topics are important. Like if you do the paper, you will get to know ki if this question is coming. I have seen this question in every paper almost. If I had 10 papers, I saw this question. So of course that formula is important, that question is important, that topic is important. So you need to focus on them more. And if you say some questions really, like if you did 20 papers and you see just one question per topic, so yeah, you can leave it for the time being. But yeah, maybe if you are left with some time at the end, then you can go for it.
Okay, so a student is saying that he has wasted his 11th chemistry completely. So now he is facing it difficult. So what would you like to tell him? Actually, this is a usual case many of the students do. They take their 11th very lightly and they regret when they join in 12th.
Yeah, which is same as of my days. So yeah, I had to invest more time in two subjects that I did not prepare in them, like chemistry and biology. I did I did spend a lot of time in them. I practiced physics very less, right? I used to just do it in the paper, and I did not use to do any self study for physics. I just used to do papers and my questions were covered. So, but for chemistry and bio, I read NCRT at least 12 times, like line by line, very like even I did not even used to miss a word. Like it used to take time. It used to take a lot of time. But then in the second, third revision, you just speed up. You just get to doing them. Like in the first time, if it took you start the paper frequency, the mock test frequency very high. Like you should practice a paper once every 2 days. That would be very beneficial for you. You will be able to filter out the questions which are important, filter out the topics.
So basically revision is very, very, very important rather than just completing one time. Okay, so for physics, is it right plan to start now to read or solve problem? So just here 14 is left out and he is asking whether now he should go for reading it or solving question.
Okay, so we'll start. Every topic, you just practice the questions again. So you should focus more on practicing the questions than reading the topic, like than reading the subject. Like you should focus on the classes which you are attending. Ever so, like if you are attending lectures, if you are in this class, and that stuff, if you are attending some other course, any class, you should just focus on the content there, that whichever the teacher teaches you, and then you should practice the questions at home. But never focus on practicing the questions at a go in a bulk. Like the mistake which I used to do, like if I just like in our coaching, we started with NLM in physics. So NLM is an easy topic, and I found it very interesting at that time. So I came home, I practiced 50 questions at the first day, I practiced 100 questions at the second day, and so on. Like I used to do 200 questions in a day. I used to sit for 4 hours and practice all the questions, all the books, etc. But it was not very beneficial because after 2 months, I just the formula. I just used to forget the tips to solve the NLM question. So practicing it in bulk rather than that, practicing it regularly is more important. Like if you have read if you are done with NLM right now, so after 2 months you just need to bring it in a schedule that you practice some of its questions so that you never leave a habit of that chapter.
Okay, Dev, thanks a lot for joining with us. So yeah, as you said, you have assignment, but you have kept everything apart and you joined with us. So I'm very thankful for you, and all the students are also very thankful to you for just guiding them in a proper way.